Welcome to day 2 of our Running Stronger series on strength training for runners. Yesterday, we kicked off this series with a video all about the benefits of strength training. Everything from more speed to better injury resilience to more power. The things that help you actually race faster and stay healthy in the long term. So what I want to do in this video is talk about mistakes or training errors that we make with strength training. Because if you can avoid these early mistakes when you're just getting started, your progress is going to be a lot faster. And some of these mistakes are really robbing runners of extra speed, strength, and injury resilience that they could have in their training, but it's just not structured as well as it could be. So let's talk about some of these mistakes because I don't want you to train poorly. I want you to make sound training decisions so that you don't waste any time and that you get the most out of your training. Now, the first mistake that runners typically make with strength training is what I call the grab bag approach to strength training. This is when you sample. Like you're at a cocktail party and you're sampling all the hors d'oeuvres, you're taking a little bit from CrossFit, you're gonna do that body weight routine that you saw in Runner's World. Maybe you'll drop into that functional strength class at the gym, or maybe even try that old P90X video you have lying around. But this approach is not really very effective, and you can almost see why. Just like a training plan must be progressive. Just like a training plan must be methodical, so must strength training. And in this example, it is not methodical, it is not strategic, it is not progressive. It's not periodized to the phase of the season that you're currently in. It's just doing it's almost like doing random runs, random workouts, random distance long runs. We can't expect to improve if that's our approach. Now, the other big problem with this form of strength training when you're doing just a lot of random classes and workouts and DVDs and things like that is that a lot of these workouts are not very well structured for runners because they're more like a circuit and they include a lot of higher aerobic demands. So in other words, you're going to be fairly out of breath when you're doing this kind of a workout. And that's not really how we should approach strength training as endurance runners. We get out of breath plenty of times when we're out there running, when we're doing workouts, when we're out there during a long run. We don't need to insert a lot of metabolic demands or cardio or aerobic demands into our strength training. Instead, we can simply focus on strength and power rather than on our heart and lungs. Now, the good news here is that those classes and workout DVDs are typically very challenging. It is hard. I remember going to a functional core class at the Boston Sports Club in Boston, Massachusetts, and this is when I was in really great shape and capable of doing a lot of strength work, and I remember getting my butt kicked by that workout. And I was running 80 miles a week and capable of crazy workouts and things like that. Those classes are incredibly challenging. And the good news is that as runners, we simply don't have to do them. They don't build as much strength as more strength-oriented types of workouts. And they can really fatigue us and tire us out for the running, which is much more important for us as runners. Mistake number 2, lifting like a bodybuilder. We don't want to build muscle, we're runners. We don't need big muscles, we need strong muscles. And there's a big difference between a strong muscle and a big muscle. Now, bodybuilders have one goal: hypertrophy. That's muscle growth. They want bigger muscles, and so their training looks a lot different in the weight room than the training that runners will do in the weight room. Bodybuilders will probably spend 5 or 6 days in the weight room. They will probably also spend maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours in the weight room for every single workout. And they are going to isolate individual muscles. So when you hear someone talk about chest day or today is bis and tris, that's taken from the world of bodybuilding. They are going into the gym specifically to work on those specific muscles. And good news is that runners, we don't have to do this. We don't have to worry about individual muscles because we are training movements, not muscles. So when we get in the gym, basic, fundamental, movement-oriented exercises, compound, multi-joint lifts are where we want to be. That is going to give us the most benefit because at the end of the day, strength training for endurance runners is really coordination training under resistance. It doesn't necessarily matter how much weight we're lifting, and it doesn't necessarily matter too much if we're not spending all day in the weight room. In fact, we shouldn't. We should keep our gym sessions much shorter than bodybuilders. We don't have to go as frequently, and we don't have to isolate our muscles. Almost every workout can be a full body strength workout, and that is going to be the most advantageous for runners. One of the other benefits of not lifting like a bodybuilder, not spending 2 hours in the gym 5 days a week and isolating muscles, is that when we do shorter workouts, full body workouts, only twice a week, we can have a much stronger neuromuscular stimulus in our workouts. And that's simply the communication pathways between your brain and your muscles. So just think, when you want to sprint really fast at the end of the race and generate a lot of power, that is a neuromuscular activity. Your brain has to recruit as many muscle fibers as possible so that you can generate more force and sprint faster. That is the goal of strength training for runners, not bigger muscles. All right, guys, let's wrap this up with training error number 3 in the weight room. This is a big one. This is overly focusing on stability. Now, how do we do this? You're probably familiar with BOSU balls or wobble boards, things like that. Those kinds of balance boards where you're really focused on maintaining your balance while you're doing a certain exercise. Now, these certainly have their place in any strength training program, and I think you can certainly add them in. They also have a very strong rehabilitative effect. So if you're, say, rehabbing an ankle injury, there's a strong place in your rehab program for this kind of stability training. But if you're healthy and you simply want to lift weights to become a better runner, let's say you want to improve your running form, you want to get stronger, you want to improve your speed and your ability to produce power, we do not want to do too much stability training, because at the end of the day, why is it that we are lifting? It's a good question. If our goal is to run faster, then we lift for one reason: to produce more force against the ground. If you can produce more force against the ground, you're going to be a faster runner. And also, if you can maintain that force production for quite a long time, that's endurance. But in the gym, we're focused on that force production. And if you're on a wobble board, you really can't generate too much force. You are so focused on staying upright and not falling over that you can't really focus on force production as much as you could. So when we're doing, say, a heavy deadlift or a heavy squat, or maybe even a power exercise like the clean, we want a level, even, stable surface so that we can really work on force production, recruiting all those muscle fibers, generating power and force. That's going to make you a stronger runner. That's going to make you a more powerful runner. And it's sure going to make you a much faster runner. These are some of the biggest training errors that I see with runners who want to start strength training and they're just not sure how to start. I call it the dysfunctional merry-go-round, because they're trying this, they read some article on Runner's World that said they should go to failure. There's all these different ideas, and when you sample them, when you don't get on a more strict, periodized, progressive, formal approach to strength training, much like with running, you're going to falter. You're not really going to progress too much. And just like I would encourage any runner to follow an actual training plan, a schedule of daily running activities, I suggest the same for strength training too. That way we can really focus on starting where you are right now and then getting stronger and a little bit stronger over time, building on what you have done in the past, adding in more complexity, becoming more advanced in the gym with not only how much weight you're lifting, but also the types of lifting that you're doing. Just like a training plan, it must progress over time. So as you think about lifting for runners, I want you to think about a formal, periodized, progressive approach to strength training. And I want you to really remember that our goal is force production. When we're in the gym, we want to be able to produce more force. That's what's gonna make us faster. All right, those are the big 3 mistakes that I see runners make with their training. If you've been following along with this Running Stronger series on YouTube here, day 1, we talked about why you should lift. This is day 2, we're talking about mistakes. And as a preview for tomorrow, we're gonna be talking more about power and how you can lift for power in the gym. If this series is helpful for you, if you are getting value from these ideas, I would so appreciate it if you would share this video or a link to our YouTube page with your running friends. As your virtual coach, I don't want you to make poor training decisions. I want you to make strategic training decisions. And if we can reach more runners, that's exactly what we can do together. So stay tuned for tomorrow. I can't wait. Let's do this. You can see I've been making this mistake frequently for years, is lifting like a bodybuilder. No, I'm gonna take that out.